Since Donald Trump first announced his candidacy for the presidency by descending the escalator at Trump Tower, one individual has consistently voiced her criticisms: his niece, Mary Trump. In a recent interview, Mary Trump once again directed pointed remarks at her uncle, revealing significant insights into his character and behavior. Mary Trump's insights. Mary Trump, a clinical psychologist and a prominent critic within Donald Trump's family, shared her thoughts in a recent interview that garnered attention. When asked about her uncle's admiration for authoritarian leaders such as Viktor Orban, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Kim Jong-un, whom he has met multiple times, Mary Trump did not hold back. She expressed serious concern regarding Donald Trump's lack of personal growth, asserting that he remains trapped in the same mindset he had as a young man. This, she emphasized, is a troubling reality that should alarm us all. And it's not at all surprising because he grew up in an authoritarian household, and because of the way my grandfather, who was a quite straight-up sociopath. Mary Trump elaborated further, explaining that her uncle's behavior is unsurprising given his upbringing in an authoritarian household. She described her grandfather as a bona fide sociopath who favored Donald Trump, suggesting that this dynamic taught him early on how to remain in his father's good graces. As a result, Donald Trump became skilled at navigating this authoritarian environment, fully aware of the repercussions of losing favor. Mary Trump speculated that this upbringing has fostered a sense of comfort for him within authoritarian circles. She emphasized that it is crucial for him to align himself with strong leaders like Orban and Putin, as their approval and support are vital to him. She concluded by stating that this is the environment where he thrives, where his ambitions are closely tied to maintaining these alliances and securing their favor. I've been with Trump and Putin. Trump is when you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions. A recent comment from the Australian Prime Minister further exemplified Mary Trump's observations regarding her uncle's admiration for Vladimir Putin during his presidency. The Prime Minister noted that Donald Trump seemed genuinely in awe of Putin, comparing his demeanor to that of a 12-year-old meeting the captain of a high school football team. Full of admiration and almost idolizing this unsettling dynamic between Trump and Putin, as observed by the Prime Minister on several occasions, was described as bordering on creepy. It is essential to recognize the seriousness of this situation. When the leader of the free world is depicted, as a prepubescent child infatuated with someone older and more powerful, the implications are significant. Donald Trump's desire to meet his father's expectations and to embody success is not merely a quest for approval. It is rooted in a profound awareness of the severe consequences of failure. Mary Trump emphasized that Donald Trump learned the harsh cost of failure through the tragic example of her father, Fred Trump Jr. His inability to meet their grandfather's expectations left him devastated. Fred Jr.'s life serves as a poignant reminder of the repercussions of falling short within their family's rigid standards. This personal experience has likely fueled Donald's relentless determination to satisfy his father's demands and to avoid a similar fate, highlighting the weight of familial expectations and their profound impact on shaping his outlook and behavior. So I think what keeps him up at night, other than a lot of Diet Coke, would be this concern: one, that he doesn't actually have the money. The interview then shifted to the topic of Donald Trump's recent legal troubles. When Mary Trump was asked what success truly means to her uncle, despite his evident fixation on it, she provided a nuanced response. She emphasized that for Donald Trump, the issue is not just about achieving success, it's a story about being perceived as successful. Deep down, she asserted, he is aware that he falls short of the grandiose image he projects. And this self-awareness deeply affects him. Adding a touch of humor, she remarked that what truly keeps him up at night, beyond his excessive Diet Coke consumption, is the fear that he may not possess the substantial wealth. He claims Mary Trump suggested that the recent legal ruling, which could potentially expose his financial facade, poses a grave threat to both his public persona and his sense of self-worth. This sobering reality could unravel the carefully constructed myth of his business acumen that he has cultivated over decades. Shifting to the topic of the 2024 presidential campaign, Mary Trump was asked about any differences she perceives between her uncle during the 2016 presidential race and the current campaign. She affirmed that significant differences do exist, attributing them to the immense pressure he faces from ongoing legal conflicts, the stress of running for office again, and the burden of his previous defeat. Mary Trump noted that it is natural for someone in his position to feel profoundly affected by these pressures. They constitute a heavy burden that is undoubtedly taking a toll on him. She observed a sense of desperation and fear emanating from him, suggesting that, at his core, Donald Trump has always resembled a frightened child. She believes these fears are exacerbated by the high stakes of his future, which are closely tied to his potential return to the White House. Despite apparent support from some members of the Supreme Court, this outcome remains uncertain. She explained that the relentless stress clouds his judgment and impairs his ability to articulate himself coherently. Mary Trump concluded by highlighting that, over the past decade, his performance in situations such as depositions has demonstrated diminished impulse control and coherence. She emphasized that the constant strain in his life manifests as tangible differences in both his behavior and cognitive function. This is not the first time Mary Trump has publicly criticized her uncle. Her outspoken remarks have led to legal action from the Trump family, who attempted to prevent the publication of her book. In it, she shared numerous insights and criticisms, shedding light on her perspective of Donald Trump and their family dynamics. Mary Trump's revealing memoir, Too Much and Never Enough: How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man, presents a troubling portrait of her uncle, Donald Trump, portraying him as a narcissist whose actions jeopardize the lives of all Americans. Through her compelling narrative, she exposes him as a fraud and a tyrant. Mary's insights delve deeper than surface-level assessments, uncovering a vulnerability that contradicts Donald Trump's outward bravado. She traces the roots of his character to the toxic dynamics within their family, particularly the domineering influence of his father, which ultimately shattered her own father, Fred Trump Jr. His premature death from an alcohol-related illness when Mary was just 16 years old serves as a poignant reminder of the destructive impact of their family dynamics. In her book, Mary Trump reveals the strained relationship between Trump's Sr. and his eldest son, Fred Jr., whom he initially groomed to take over the family real estate empire. However, when Fred Jr. distanced himself from the business, Trump's Sr. reluctantly turned to his second son, Donald. A decision filled with disappointment. As Mary recounts, when Donald's ventures failed in the late 1980s, Trump Sr. found himself ensnared by his son's shortcomings, leading to a reluctant continuation of support. Mary portrays a father who, despite his reservations, enabled his son's failures, ultimately unleashing a figurative monster onto the world stage. Within the pages of her memoir, she details her pivotal role in supplying tax documents to the New York Times, which formed the basis of a damning 14,000-word expose on Donald Trump's questionable tax practices. During the 1990s, these revelations, including allegations of outright fraud, shed light on the substantial inheritance he received from his parents. Initially hesitant when approached by journalists in 2017, Mary observed Donald's actions eroding democratic norms and endangering vulnerable communities. After a month of contemplation, she made the bold decision to assist the Times, smuggling 19 boxes of legal documents from a law firm and delivering them to the journalists. Mary Trump also alleges that her uncle resorted to underhanded tactics to achieve a favorable score on the SATA crucial standardized test for university admissions, concerned that his mediocre grade point average would jeopardize his prospects. Donald reportedly paid a friend handsomely to take the exam on his behalf, describing the individual as a skilled test taker. She claims that Donald spared no expense to secure his success. Despite initially attending Fordham University, he later transferred to the prestigious Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. As her account unfolds, Mary Trump delves into her uncle's admiration for authoritarian leaders, exploring the implications of his affinity for dictators and how it reflects his character and values. During his presidency, Donald Trump publicly praised Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban during a joint appearance at the White House. Trump likened Orban to himself, acknowledging their shared controversial reputations. He commended Orban for his leadership, stating that he had done a commendable job in keeping Hungary safe. Trump described Orban's accomplishments as tremendous, noting that the Prime Minister is well regarded across Europe, despite being one of the European Union's most polarizing figures. This praise stands in stark contrast to the widespread criticism Orban faces globally. Critics condemn him for his strong stance on racial purity, his vigorous opposition to immigration, and his close ties with Russia's Vladimir Putin. Throughout his 12-year tenure, Orban has drawn significant backlash for systematically undermining Hungary's democracy, earning condemnation for authoritarian tactics that erode democratic institutions. This dynamic reflects Trump's troubling admiration for authoritarian leaders. The relationship between Orban and Trump is long-standing, with Trump often expressing support for the right-wing populist leader during campaign events. In early 2022, Trump declared his full endorsement of Orban's re-election bid. This admiration is mutual. In April 2023, amid the onset of criminal charges against Trump, Orban publicly expressed solidarity, encouraging him to remain resilient and emphasizing his respect for Trump's determination. Orban articulated his admiration during a forum in Turkey, highlighting Trump's maverick performance. Their bond was further solidified in August 2022 during Orban's visit to Trump's Bedminster Golf Club in New Jersey. Notably, Orban was the only European Union head of government to endorse Trump during the 2016 election, further strengthening their alliance and shared political values. Continuing their partnership, Orban recently announced plans to visit Florida to meet with Trump. He characterized Trump's potential return to power as a significant opportunity to address the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Speaking at a diplomatic forum in Turkey, Orban suggested that Trump's resurgence could also aid in resolving the Gaza conflict. This meeting aligns with Trump's focus on his upcoming election rematch against President Joe Biden, buoyed by strong support within the Republican Party. Orban emphasized the crucial role of Donald Trump's leadership in achieving swift peace, asserting that Trump's absence has prolonged the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. He expressed confidence that if Trump had been in office at the war's onset, the invasion might have been averted altogether. Trump's admiration for Vladimir Putin has been evident, recently showcased during a radio interview where he praised Putin's strategy in Ukraine, stating, "I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius." Throughout Russia's military buildup along Ukraine's borders and subsequent invasion, Trump consistently lauded Putin. In an interview with conservative radio hosts, Trump reiterated his admiration for Putin's approach regarding Ukraine. He described Putin's declaration of independence for a significant portion of Ukraine as genius and wonderful. Despite widespread international concern over Russia's actions, Trump's commendation highlighted his ongoing affinity for the Russian leader, even amid escalating tensions. He further suggested that Putin could serve as a peacekeeper in the region. This sentiment was echoed at a fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago, where Trump underscored Putin's strategic maneuvering in Ukraine. Pointing out that it occurred with minimal sanctions, Trump's remarks magnified his admiration for Putin's calculated actions, framing the annexation of Ukraine as a savvy geopolitical strategy rather than a breach of international norms. Politically, this stance raises questions. Commending a Russian invasion that lacked any clear provocation is unprecedented in American political discourse. Since the Cold War, the United States has maintained a skeptical view of Russia, recognizing its historical expansionist tendencies. The prevailing understanding has been that Russia's territorial ambitions could disrupt the delicate balance established since World War II. Therefore, praising such actions contradicts long-standing American foreign policy principles and poses risks to global peace and security. This rhetoric signifies a departure from traditional diplomatic norms and underscores the importance of vigilance against potential threats to international stability. So why does Trump praise Putin? For Trump, every action is transactional. His worldview lacks a moral compass, focusing instead on a calculus of gains and losses. In this perspective, strength is paramount and seizing opportunities is critical. Perceived power, both domestically and internationally, becomes the ultimate currency. This transactional mindset influenced many of Trump's policy decisions, whether in cozying up to autocrats or employing aggressive rhetoric. His actions consistently prioritize the projection of strength, exemplifying a singular focus on perceived success and dominance on the global stage. Donald Trump has previously praised Vladimir Putin's strong grip on power, acknowledging the Russian leader's firm control over the country, even while expressing disapproval of the authoritarian system itself. Trump has commended Putin's leadership, often contrasting it unfavorably with that of the U.S. president at the time. This admiration for authoritarian figures reflects Trump's tendency to be drawn to leaders who exercise unchecked authority and disregard dissenting opinions. Given this predisposition, his praise of Putin during European conflicts is not surprising. It aligns with his belief in assertive leadership, regardless of the consequences. Such sentiments are troubling, as they prioritize power and dominance over democratic values and international stability. In a more humorous moment, Trump once remarked about his relationship with Kim Jong-un, saying, "And I was really being tough. And so was he. And we were going back and forth. And then we fell in love. Okay, no really. He wrote me beautiful letters. And they're great letters. We fell in love." Unlike his relationship with Putin, Trump's rapport with Kim Jong-un did not start on a positive note. The transition from hostility to warmth, sometimes punctuated by awkward effusiveness, characterizes the unlikely evolution of their relationship. Once fierce adversaries, Trump and Kim transformed their dynamic into a remarkable diplomatic camaraderie, defying global expectations. The harsh nicknames such as Little Rocket Man and mentally deranged U.S. doer gave way to what Trump describes as affectionate love letters, showcasing their newfound chemistry. Previously, Trump had characterized Kim as a madman with nuclear capabilities, voicing concerns about the potential threats posed by his regime. In April 2017, shortly after taking office, Trump emphasized to Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte the importance of preventing such dangers. He underscored the superiority of U.S. military capabilities while expressing a desire to avoid conflict. In August 2017, he warned North Korea against further threats, stating they would face fire and fury like the world has never seen, a remark made during a discussion on opioid use in the U.S. that highlighted his resolve in response to North Korean provocations. North Korea's response was equally confrontational, with state media declaring that meaningful dialogue was impossible with a leader they deemed senile and irrational, asserting that only resolute force could sway him. Over the following months, a significant transformation occurred in the relationship between the two leaders. In a notable gesture, Kim Jong-un released 3 American citizens held captive in North Korea, which Trump warmly received as a positive sign of goodwill. Following this, Trump claimed that his efforts to foster amicable relations warranted consideration for the Nobel Peace Prize, stating everyone thought he deserved such prestigious recognition after their historic first meeting in Singapore. Trump praised Kim as very talented, commending his great personality and intelligence. He characterized Kim as a skilled negotiator, adeptly advocating for his nation's interests. Reflecting on their productive discussions, Trump noted the mutual exchange of insights, remarking that they had a terrific day and learned a great deal about each other and their respective countries. Amidst the diplomatic wrangling surrounding the nuanced interpretations of the Singapore Declaration, Donald Trump reveled in his relationship with Kim Jong-un. Despite Pyongyang's accusations of gangster-like behavior from Washington, Trump radiated confidence, often referencing Kim's professed unwavering faith in him. At a rally in late September, he elevated his admiration for Kim, declaring to supporters that they fell in love after exchanging letters in Hanoi. Their one-on-one meetings and social dinners showcased an unexpected camaraderie, marked by jokes and banter amidst the backdrop of reporters' shouts. Trump praised Kim as a great leader, highlighting North Korea's vast economic potential. And pledging support to help realize it in turn, Kim expressed eagerness for their reunion, emphasizing his commitment to achieving significant outcomes from their discussions during their 261-day hiatus. However, setting aside Trump's admiration for autocrats, let's delve into the legal troubles that are currently causing him sleepless nights. As reported by Mary Trump, there's breaking news from New York City. The judgment in Donald Trump's civil fraud trial has been signed by Judge Arthur Engoron and officially entered. The total judgment for the former president is $1.5 million. Now stands at an astonishing $454 million, not the previously reported $354 million. In February 2024, Trump was hit with a staggering civil fraud judgment, confirming a verdict that holds him accountable for over $454 million in fines and accrued interest. This landmark ruling represents a significant milestone in the ongoing legal battles surrounding Trump's financial dealings. The outcome underscores the growing allegations against him and highlights the serious ramifications of his actions. With this judgment, Trump faces substantial financial obligations and legal consequences that could have wide-ranging implications for his future endeavors. The procedural initiation by the New York County Clerk signals the start of Trump's appeals process, allowing the debt to begin accruing post-judgment interest at an astonishing rate of nearly $112,000 per day. This information was shared by a spokesperson for New York Attorney General Letitia James, the driving force behind the case. With the formalized verdict now in place, Trump has been granted a 30-day window to exercise his right to appeal. A course of action that Donald Trump has unequivocally pledged to pursue within the specified timeframe is to deposit sufficient funds into a court-controlled account or provide a bond equivalent to the total amount mandated by New York Attorney General Letitia James. Just days ago, James announced her intention to pursue the seizure of certain assets belonging to the former president if he is unable to settle his debt. However, it is anticipated that the ongoing appeal process will temporarily suspend the enforcement of this penalty while legal proceedings unfold. Trump maintains his innocence, vehemently denying any wrongdoing. His legal team has been working to postpone the submission of documents following contentious negotiations with state prosecutors and the presiding judge regarding the contents of said paperwork. Recently, Judge Arthur Engoron dismissed lawyer Clifford Roberts' plea to postpone the enforcement of the penalty by 30 days. In an email, Engoron stated unequivocally that Roberts failed to provide any explanation, let alone justification, for a stay. The judge expressed confidence that the appellate division would safeguard their appellant rights, marking a firm stance on the necessity of upholding the legal process and ensuring that Trump's right to appeal remains intact. Beginning on February 23, 2024, the daily interest accrued on Trump's penalty surged to $1,984, a significant increase from the previous rate of $887,500 per day that had been in effect before the verdict was formalized. This uptick in post-judgment interest is due to a comprehensive calculation based on the entirety of the judgment, which includes the core penalty of $355 million and nearly $100 million amassed in pre-judgment interest, prior to the formal entry of judgment. Previously, Trump's interest was levied solely on the principal penalty amount. However, following the completion of legal proceedings, interest calculations now encompass the full judgment, resulting in a daily interest charge of $1,554 for Trump and his co-defendants until the debt is settled. This substantial increase amplifies the financial burden confronting Trump, underscoring the urgency of resolving his outstanding obligations. The daily interest charges break down to $1,149 for each of Trump's two eldest sons, Eric and Donald Trump Jr., and $272 for former longtime Trump Organization finance chief Allen Weisselberg. These amounts continue to accumulate even during the appeals process. Should Trump and his co-defendants succeed in overturning the verdict, their potential obligation might be nullified. However, until that reversal occurs, the accrued interest serves as a constant reminder of the significant financial stakes involved. Unfortunately, Trump's legal troubles do not end here. He is also grappling with the ongoing saga involving E. Jean Carroll. In breaking news, a jury has reached a verdict in the federal defamation trial against Trump brought by Carroll. The former president has been ordered to pay $83.3 million in damages for his relentless attacks against her following her allegations of sexual assault. As the deadline for Trump to settle this staggering amount approaches, he faces an urgent task. Unless a court intervenes, he must pay the $83.3 million judgment by March 9th. Just 30 days after the formal entry of the court ruling on February 8th, Carroll has voiced strong concerns regarding Trump's financial capacity to meet this obligation. Her attorney contested Trump's claims, arguing that he essentially requests blind faith in his wealth as justification to forego posting a bond, ensuring payment. They expressed grave liquidity and the uncertainty surrounding his ability to settle this significant debt. Trump has until 5 p.m. Saturday to respond to Carroll's filing with a potential ruling on the immediate payment of the judgment looming. Trump has urged the court to issue a verdict by March 4th regarding his financial obligations. Meanwhile, Jean Carroll's legal team has strongly criticized Trump's plea to suspend the monetary judgment, describing it as a mere appeal for blind trust. They likened his request to a flimsy paper napkin offered by an untrustworthy borrower, especially in light of the hefty $83.3 million judgment against him. In contrast, Trump's legal team argues that there is no credible risk of him failing to meet the judgment, pointing to Carroll's prior acknowledgement that his resources are more than sufficient to satisfy the verdict. Trump's attorneys highlighted Carroll's previous assertions to the jury regarding his substantial financial capabilities. They contend that she cannot now contradict herself by claiming a need for a bond while post-trial motions are under review. They emphasize that her statements undermine any basis for requiring additional financial safeguards, reinforcing their position. As Trump confronts the daunting task of settling his mounting legal fines, which now exceed $540 million, the path forward remains uncertain. This staggering sum includes the $83.3 million judgment from Carroll's lawsuit and an additional $5 million from her earlier trial against him. Although Trump currently lacks the liquid assets to cover these costs outright, he has several potential avenues for recourse. These options include leveraging his assets, seeking financial assistance from wealthy associates, or pursuing loans from financial institutions, particularly following a recent New York appeals court decision that eases restrictions on his borrowing capabilities. Additionally, Trump could explore the possibility of selling off some of his real estate holdings, a strategy suggested by his legal team in the ongoing fraud case. While the deadline for Carroll's payment looms, Trump has a slightly longer window to address the fraud ruling. Enforcement by the New York Attorney General's office is set to commence only if payment is not received by March 25th. In the interim, Trump has petitioned an appeals court to halt the judgment or allow him to post a $100 million bond, pending a definitive ruling on the matter. Following the court's rejection of his initial request to suspend the monetary judgment in 2019, Jean Carroll initiated a lawsuit against Trump after publicly accusing him of sexual assault, claiming that he raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman dressing room during the 1990s. Trump strongly refuted Carroll's claims, disparaging her and asserting that she was not his type, which prompted Carroll to sue him for defamation. She contended that Trump's response inflicted emotional distress and damaged her reputation, alleging harm to her dignity and honor. This protracted legal battle ensued as Trump attempted to dismiss the charges, leading to a second lawsuit under New York's Adult Survivors Act. In January, the jury ruled Trump liable for defamation and sexual assault, though not rape, and ordered him to pay $18.3 million in compensatory damages and $65 million in punitive damages, a sum intended to deter further defamation. While Mary Trump may have made very critical statements about Donald Trump, the legal fines and penalties he faces are even more telling than her words. What do you think? Let's discuss it in the comments section below. For more captivating content like this, click on one of the cars appearing on your screen now.